Alright guys, let's finish up the rest of this worksheet. Number 6, we are asked to, if the endpoints of AB are 2, -1 and 3, -3, what's the slope? So we're just using that general slope formula. The slope is going to be y2, -3, minus y1, -1, over x2, that's 3, minus 2, x1. Alright, -3 minus -1, that becomes plus +1. So -3 plus 1 is -2. Over 3 minus 2 will just be 1. So that's just the slope of -2. Alright, in rhombus ABCD, the slope of a diagonal AC is 1/3. What's the slope of the diagonal BD? We can sketch a little picture here. A, B, C, D. So they're saying this has a slope of 1/3. And we should remember from those properties of parallelograms that the diagonals are actually perpendicular. So what we're really asking you is what would be the perpendicular slope? And that would be the negative reciprocal. Flip it and make it negative. So that would be -3. Alright, number 8. The vertices of QRS are QRS. Find the slopes of each side. So we're going to find the slope of QR, that side, the slope of RS, and the slope of SQ. Okay, slope of QR. So we're going to do -1 minus 3 over 7 minus 4. Which will be -4 over 3, -4/3. Alright, QRS. We're going to do -4 minus -1 over 3 minus 7. -4 minus -1 is -4 plus 1. So that actually becomes -3 over 3 minus 7 is -4. Or in other words, 3/4. And then the next one, SQ, we're going to do y2, so 3 minus -4 over 3 minus -4 over 4 minus 3. 3 minus -4 is 3 plus 4, or 7, over 4 minus 3, that's 1. Alright, so slope of QR is -4/3. Slope of RS is 3/4. And the slope of SQ is 7 over 1, or just 7. So what type of triangle is it? Well, based on the slopes, we know that QR is actually perpendicular to RS because they've got those negative reciprocal slopes. One of them is positive and one of them is negative, and they are flipped from each other. So because there's a right angle, this has to be a right triangle. Alright, last but not least, we want to prove using these coordinates that it is a square. Okay, so if it is a square, we are going to know lots of things about it. First of all, it's going to be a parallelogram. Next of all, we know that the diagonals will be perpendicular. And we know that the sides will be perpendicular. Diagonals perpendicular specifically makes it a rhombus. And sides perpendicular makes it a rectangle. And if something is all three of these things, a parallelogram, a rhombus, and a rectangle, that makes it a square. Okay, so there's lots of ways that you can do to check this. I'm going to kind of focus in on the slopes because if I can find out that the opposite sides are parallel, that will make it a parallelogram. It will also tell me if the sides are perpendicular. So let's find all the slopes of the sides. The slope of SQ, the slope of QU, the slope of UR, and the slope of SR. Okay, so SQ, we've got 1 minus 2, which is -1, over 4 minus 1, which is 3. So we got negative 1/3. And this was a change. Just make sure you see that that was actually supposed to be a 1. It says on your paper, it says a 2, but it's actually a 1, 2. All right, QU. So I've got negative 2 minus 1, which is actually negative 3, over 3 minus 4, which is negative 1. Next one's UR. Negative 1 minus negative 2, which actually becomes plus 2, so that becomes 1, over 0 minus 3, that's negative 3. SR. So we've got negative 1 minus 2, so that actually becomes negative 3, over 0 minus 1, which is negative 1. All right, looking at this, SQ and UR are the same. So therefore, SQ is parallel to UR. Also, QU and SR are the same. So QU is parallel to SR. This makes it a parallelogram. All right, what else do we know? Well, these are actually negative reciprocals of one another. Negative 1/3 and 3 over 1 is actually a positive 3 over 1 because they're both negative, and negative divided by negative is positive. So those are negative reciprocals of one another. So that makes SQ perpendicular to QU, which makes it a rectangle. Just having that, if it's a parallelogram and having just one right angle makes it a rectangle. All right, if it is a rhombus, that means the diagonals will be perpendicular. So what are the diagonals? Well, SQUR, one of the diagonals, if we just kind of sketch it, SQUR will be SU. So now I'm going to find the slope of SU, and I'm also going to find the slope of QR. And I'm going to see if they are negative reciprocals. So SU will be negative 2 minus 2, so that's negative 4, over 3 minus 1, which is just 2. So that slope is negative 2. How about QR? So we got QR. Negative 1 minus 1 is negative 2. Over 0 minus 4, which is negative 4. And that actually, 2 over 4 turns into 1 over 2. And this is over 1, negative 2 over 1. So if you see, we can take negative 2 over 1 and flip it, and we get 1 over 2, and we make it negative. They are negative reciprocals. So therefore, SU is actually perpendicular to QR, and that makes it a rhombus. All of this together, parallelogram, rectangle, and rhombus, make up a square. All right, guys, good luck.